My stepmother always claimed she cherished me like her own child, so I revealed the voicemail she sent my father about erasing me from his life. Clara moved into our home when I was 12, all soft embraces and freshly baked treats. She polished my nails, styled my hair in intricate braids, and proudly introduced me as her bonus daughter to everyone we encountered. When strangers praised my manners, Clara would glow, saying, "Lila's just naturally kind. I'm so blessed to have her." For 3 years, I trusted every syllable. My father was often absent, traveling for his global consulting job, gone for weeks at a stretch. Clara took me to upscale stores, let me watch films she said were too grown up for other kids, and always backed me during school meetings. She'd grip my hand with a knowing smile and murmur, "We get each other, don't we, darling?" When my birth mother called, slurring and demanding cash, Clara would pass me the phone with a pitying look, whispering, "You don't have to speak if you don't want to. I'm your true mom now." I felt ashamed for loving her more than the woman who birthed me. My bio mom had walked out when I was 8, choosing her addiction over me. Clara felt like a gift, a woman who genuinely wanted me, who attended every recital and game, who knew my friends' names and my favorite meals. She even kept a notebook about my life, jotting down my quirky sayings and achievements. "For when you're grown," she'd say, "so you'll always know how much you're loved." I'd see her scribbling in it, her face focused, and feel a rush of gratitude. The warning signs were so faint I didn't see them as threats, like how she'd cut me off when I mentioned life before her arrival. "Oh, sweetie, you were so little then. Are you sure that's right?" she'd ask with such tender worry that I'd question my own memories. Or how she slowly distanced me from Dad's relatives. His sister, Aunt Ellen, had always been close, but Clara scheduled clashing events during family visits. "Lila's been so excited for this dance class," she'd tell Dad regretfully. "I can't let her down." Aunt Ellen's calls dwindled, then stopped. Clara also inserted herself into every talk I had with Dad. If he asked about my day, she'd launch into detailed anecdotes before I could speak. If I mentioned a problem, she'd already have solutions, presenting them as our joint ideas. "Lila and I feel it's best if," became her constant phrase. Gradually, I felt like a side character in my own story. But I buried my unease because Clara's affection seemed so genuine. She knew exactly what to say when I was upset, which comfort foods to cook after a rough day. She helped with homework nightly, braided my hair each morning, and never missed a chance to boast about me. "I always wanted a daughter," she'd say, smoothing my hair. "You're everything I ever hoped for." Everything shifted when I came home early from school, sick. I'd been fighting a stomach virus for days, but tried to tough it out for a big science exam. In third period, I vomited in the corridor, and the nurse sent me home. I used my key, Clara's suggestion, so I'd always feel welcome, and heard her voice from the kitchen. She was on the phone, laughing in a way I'd never heard. Not her warm, motherly chuckle, but something sharp and scheming. "The kid actually thinks I love her," she sneered, her tone laced with scorn. "Mark is so damn naive. Of course I'm kind to his darling daughter. I've been playing this role for 3 years, and he's clueless." My heart froze. I pressed myself against the hallway wall, barely breathing. "Once we're married and my name's on everything, she's out. I found a boarding school in Wyoming, middle of nowhere. She'll visit on holidays maybe, but Mark will be so caught up with our real kids he won't even notice she's gone." I stood paralyzed, my illness forgotten. "Our real kids." She was pregnant. "I'm not raising another woman's failure," Clara went on, her voice growing crueler. "Every time I see those eyes, those cunning eyes, I want to wipe that smirk off her face." Her voice rose with venom. "Do you know how exhausting it's been, pretending to care about that entitled little girl? 3 years of forced hugs, fake stories, and feigned interest in her pathetic drawings. I deserve an award." My hands trembled as I backed toward the door. Each word was a dagger, shattering my reality. "The best part? Everyone thinks I'm perfect," she continued, laughing coldly. "Her teachers, the neighbors, even Mark's parents see me as a hero. Who's going to believe a 15-year-old over the woman who's been nothing but devoted for 3 years? She paused, then added, "I've been keeping records. Her recent behavioral issues, her slipping grades. I've got a file of her troubling actions. By the time this baby arrives, Little Miss Perfect will be someone else's burden." I slipped outside and hid in our neighbor's yard, crouched behind Mrs. Lee's hydrangeas until Dad's car pulled up hours later. My mind spun, grappling with what I'd heard. 3 years of deception. Every touch, every kind word, every moment of supposed care. all an act. That night at dinner, Clara served my favorite lasagna with garlic knots, while announcing her pregnancy with dramatic joy. Dad was thrilled, twirling her around the kitchen, babbling about cribs and names. I forced a smile, congratulating them as Clara gripped my shoulder, saying, "Lila's going to be an amazing big sister." Her eyes locked on mine, the warning clear: stay quiet, or it'll get worse. I played along, raving about how thrilled I was, but inside I was crumbling. My family was a lie. For weeks I stayed silent. Who would believe me? Saintly Clara, who volunteered at the shelter every Sunday, brought meals to ill neighbors, and led church fundraisers. Clara, whose notebook about my childhood was filled with glowing entries. Meanwhile, she doubled down on her act. She bought me a big sister hoodie, let me pick the nursery's pale blue paint, and snapped photos of us shopping for baby outfits, posting them online with captions about her perfect stepdaughter. But at night, when Dad slept, I saw her true self. The glares she shot me when he wasn't looking, filled with icy loathing. The accidental shoves in the hall hard enough to bruise my side. The way she'd move my things just enough to make me doubt my sanity. Once, she trapped me in the pantry while sorting baby blankets. "Enjoy your last few months here?" she hissed, holding up a tiny sweater. "Because that's all you've got, darling. I've picked your uniform for Pine Ridge Academy. Gray polyester. Very chic." When I didn't reply, she leaned closer. "The best part? Your father will think it was his idea. He'll be so overwhelmed with the baby that when I suggest you need discipline, he'll beg me to find a school." She grinned, her face terrifying. "I've been laying the groundwork for months. Little hints about your moodiness, your struggle with the baby news. By the time I'm done, he'll think sending you away is kindness." The tipping point came 2 weeks later when I caught her in the attic, sorting through my childhood photos. She sat on the floor, ripping pictures in half and tossing them into a trash bag. "We need room for real family moments," she muttered, unaware I was watching from the stairs. I stared, horrified, as she destroyed image after image, me as a toddler with Dad, my first day of school, holiday mornings, birthday parties. Years of my life vanishing into that bag. She held up a photo of me and Dad at a father-daughter dance when I was 10, me in a blue dress, him twirling me, both of us beaming. "Pitiful," she said, tearing it apart. "Like father, like daughter." That's when I realized she wasn't just planning to send me away. She wanted to erase me entirely, to wipe out any proof I'd ever mattered to Dad. I crept downstairs and began plotting my counterattack. My phone became my tool. I recorded everything. Her fake calls to boarding schools, her talks with decorators about turning my room into a nursery, her late-night vents to friends about the burden of step-parenting. I captured her tossing out my keepsakes, claiming they cluttered the baby's space. I recorded her rehearsing concerned looks in the mirror, practicing how she'd tell Dad about my issues. I even caught her researching ways to plant evidence suggesting I was using drugs. But the most damning proof came from her own carelessness. When Dad left for a 2-week trip to Tokyo, Clara thought I was asleep and called her sister Elise in Tucson, leaving a slurred, wine-soaked voicemail about her scheme. I pressed my ear to the vent in my room, phone recording, as her voice echoed from the dining room below. "Elise, it's me. Sorry it's late, but I'm so close I can feel it. 2 months, and that little pest will be gone for good." She was tipsy, glass clinking in the background. "Mark's eating out of my hand. These pregnancy hormones have him treating me like royalty. I've been logging everything. Her defiance, her grades dropping from A's to B's. I even hid some of my old sleeping pills in her bag for when I need to push things further." She laughed cruelly. "The best part? I've already forged his signature on the Pine Ridge application. They've got a spot for her in September. All I need is one tearful speech about how it kills me to send her away for her own good, and Mark will buy it completely." My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped the phone. "I've been the perfect." My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped the phone. "I've been the perfect stepmom for 3 years," she bragged. "Her teachers think I'm a goddess. Neighbors call me a saint for raising another woman's kid. Even Mark's parents think I'm a miracle. Who's going to believe a 15-year-old over the woman who's been nothing but patient?" She sipped her wine. "And the notebook? Pure genius. 3 years of fake entries about how much I adore her, what a gift she is. If anyone doubts me, I've got proof of my love for that little leech." I listened as she described isolating me from Dad's family, blocking calls and letters from relatives who cared. I told Mark's sister Lila didn't want to talk anymore, that she was in a phase where she only wanted me. Ellen was crushed, but she bought it. They all buy everything I say because I'm that good. She laughed, the sound chilling. The hardest part? Pretending to care about her teenage nonsense? Do you know how many recitals I've endured? How many games I've cheered at while she stumbled around? How many stories I've read while fighting the urge to scream? My blood ran cold. But it's almost done. 2 months, and it's just me, Mark, and our real family. I'll finally have the life I deserve, and that reminder of his failed marriage will be someone else's problem. She paused, then added softly, "The baby won't even know she existed. I'll make sure of that. Mark will be so focused on our real child, he'll forget he had a daughter before me." I lay in bed, clutching my phone as her words dismantled my world. But I wasn't the gullible 12-year-old who'd welcomed her 3 years ago. I was 15 and done being a victim. The next morning, she made me waffles shaped like stars, like she had on my 13th birthday. "Sleep okay, sweetie?" she asked, ruffling my hair. "Like a rock," I said, mirroring her fake smile. That's when I knew I had to move fast. She was planning to frame me for drug use, forge papers, and convince Dad to exile me. I had 2 weeks before he returned, and she acted. I spent those days being the ideal daughter. I tidied the house unprompted, cooked dinners from online recipes, and even massaged Clara's feet as she whined about pregnancy aches. She soaked up the attention, oblivious to my recordings. I captured her tossing out more of my things. Trophies from junior high debate, crafts from grade school, cards from relatives. I filmed her practicing fake sobs in the mirror, testing different lies. "Mark, I'm so worried about Lila. She's been so hostile lately, so rebellious. I think the baby's stirring up issues from her mom's abandonment." I caught her researching teen drug abuse and staging interventions. I recorded her hiding pills, meds I'd never seen, in my room, trying different spots to make her discovery convincing. But the final nail in her coffin came from her arrogance. 3 days before Dad's return, she called Pine Ridge Academy to confirm my enrollment, thinking I was at practice. I was hiding in the attic crawl space, recording through the vents. "Hi, this is Clara Bennett calling about Lila Bennett's enrollment for fall," she said in her polished voice, the one she used for authority figures. She gave my full name, birth date, and social security number, details she'd stolen from Dad's locked desk. "Mark will confirm payment soon," she told them. "We're devastated about this, but Lila needs more discipline than we can offer. She's been rebellious since the pregnancy news, and we believe some distance and professional help will benefit everyone." The counselor asked about my academics, and Clara unleashed a string of lies. Her grades are falling, and her teachers are worried about her attitude. She's defiant, especially toward me. I think she's struggling with sharing her father's focus. She paused, then added, "We've tried therapy, but she just glares and refuses to engage. It's become tense, and I'm concerned for our unborn child's safety." My jaw dropped. She was framing me as dangerous. "I found pills in her room last week," she lied. "No idea where she got them. When I confronted her, she screamed and vanished for hours." None of that happened. She was crafting a fictional troubled teen who needed to be removed. "Mark's heartbroken," she continued. "She was perfect until recently, but something's changed. A boarding school will give her structure while our family heals." When she hung up, she muttered, "Stupid kid, never suspected a thing. 2 days, and she's gone." That night, I compiled my evidence into a detailed file. Audio, video, screenshots of her searches, photos of her forged papers, all time-stamped and annotated. I wrote a 10-page letter to Dad, detailing her manipulation, her public kindness versus private cruelty, and her plan to banish me. I listed every lie, every erased memory, every act of abuse masked as care. But I wanted more than justice. I wanted her exposed. I wanted her shame to match her performance's scale. The day before Dad returned, I set the final trap. I called Dad's parents, Aunt Ellen, Uncle James, and his college friend Tom. I told them I was planning a surprise homecoming party for Dad and wanted the whole family there. "It's been tough with the pregnancy," I said, playing the sweet stepdaughter. "Clara's been stressed, and I think this will lift her spirits." They agreed eagerly. Ellen offered to bring her signature casserole. I invited Dad's local co-workers, the neighbors who adored Clara, and our church's minister where she volunteered weekly. Clara was ecstatic about the party, seeing it as another stage to play the perfect wife and mother. "Oh, darling, what a sweet idea," she cooed, hugging me. "This is why it hurts to think you might need to go away. You're so thoughtful." She was already seeding her narrative, hinting at my departure even among guests. She spent hours preparing, baking Dad's favorite lemon cake, hanging welcome banners, and arranging flowers from her yard. She tried on 3 dresses, choosing a flowing maternity gown that highlighted her bump while looking refined. "I want everything perfect," she said, fussing over the table settings. "Your father worked so hard for our family. He deserves beauty. Our family, not his family." In her mind, I was already erased. That evening, the living room buzzed with guests. Dad walked in to cheers and genuine warmth from his loved ones. Clara shone, playing hostess, accepting praise for managing everything in his absence. "You're so fortunate, Mark," his mother said, watching Clara serve drinks. "Clara's a natural at family life." "Lila's been a gem too," Clara replied, pulling me close, though she's been struggling lately. "Teenage phase, you know. I wonder if she needs more structure than I can give." She was planting doubts, preparing them for my exile. She was so polished, so rehearsed. If I didn't know the truth, I might have believed her. "What kind of struggles?" Ellen asked, frowning. "Oh, just typical teen rebellion," Clara said with a wistful smile. "Defiance, grades dropping, some attitude. I think the baby's stirring up jealousy." She squeezed my hand, feigning empathy. "We're exploring options for support, maybe a boarding school with strong academics and counseling." Dad looked startled. This was news to him. "I didn't know it was that bad," he said slowly. "I didn't want to stress you on your trip," Clara said, playing the dutiful wife. "But it's been tough. I think professional help would be good for us all." Ellen wasn't convinced. "Lila seems fine. She planned this whole party." "She has good days," Clara said quickly. "But you don't see the daily battles, the disrespect, the defiance? I found some troubling things in her room recently." My pulse raced as she built her case in front of everyone Dad trusted. After dinner, I served coffee and pie, playing the dutiful daughter while my nerves buzzed. When the chatter quieted, I stood, tapping my spoon on my glass. "I'd like to make a toast," I said, voice steady despite my pounding heart. All eyes turned to me, Clara smiling proudly. "To Clara, who's taught me so much about family and truth," I said, meeting her gaze. She nodded, still beaming. "Clara always says she loves me like her own, so I want to share something that reveals her true heart." Her smile wavered. She tried to rise, but Tom blocked her path. "Lila, I don't think—" she started. I pressed play on my phone, connected to the living room speakers. Clara's face drained of color. Her slurred voice filled the room. "Elise, it's me. I'm so close I can feel it. 2 months, and that little pest is gone for good." The room fell silent except for Clara's voice outlining her plan. Framing me, manipulating Dad, sending me to Wyoming. How she'd faked her love for 3 years to secure Dad's wealth. How she'd forged his signature and planted drugs. "I'm not raising another woman's reject," she snarled. "Those eyes, those scheming eyes, make me want to slap her." Dad's mother gasped, her teacup shattering on the floor. Ellen covered her mouth, staring at Clara in shock. Dad's face shifted from confusion to fury. Tom began recording with his phone. "Do you know how hard it's been pretending to care about that entitled brat?" Clara's voice went on. 3 years of fake hugs, fake stories, fake interest in her lousy crafts. I deserve an award." Uncle James stepped between Clara and me, protective. "Everyone thinks I'm perfect," her voice boasted. "Her teachers, the neighbors, even Mark's parents call me a hero. Who'll believe a 15-year-old over me?" When the first recording ended, Clara was gasping. She scanned the room, seeing only disgust. "That's out of context," she stammered. "I was drunk. I didn't mean it. I love Lila. You all know that." "There's more," I said calmly. I played her Pine Ridge call, detailing my fake issues and hinting I threatened her baby. Then her rehearsed sobs. "Mark, I'm so worried about Lila. She's so hostile." Finally, her muttering, "Stupid kid never suspected a thing." The silence was deafening. Clara clutched her belly, looking ill. Dad stood, hands shaking. "Leave," he said quietly. "Mark, let me explain." "Leave!" he roared, startling everyone. I'd never heard him like that. "This is my home too," Clara shrieked, her facade crumbling. "My name's on the deed. I have rights. I gave 3 years to this family." 3 years of lies, Ellen snapped, standing. 3 years manipulating my brother and tormenting my niece. "I never tormented anyone," Clara screamed. "I gave that ungrateful kid everything better than her real mother." "You documented fake issues to exile her," James shouted. "You planted drugs. You forged Mark's signature." "Actually," Tom interjected, a lawyer, "she tried taking my things, drawings, photos she'd once praised." Dad stopped her. "Those are my daughters," he said coldly. "The daughter you tried to erase." "She's not even yours," Clara screamed. "She's baggage from your failed marriage. Our baby's your real child." Dad stepped closer, voice low. "She's been my daughter since she was born. You've been a poison in our lives." Over the next weeks, Clara's web unraveled. Pine Ridge confirmed the forged application. Police found the planted pills, traced to her prescription. Her belongings held notes on staging evidence and manipulating courts. She faced charges of fraud, forgery, child endangerment, attempted abduction, and perjury. The DA focused on the identity theft from the forged signature.